Well, no trip to Mount Panorama is really complete without a stop in at the National Motor Racing Museum at Bathurst. And there's some amazing stuff here to have a look at over the course of any time that you're here, whether it's an event weekend or any time in the gaps in between. The museum's open 6 days a week, not on Tuesdays. Don't go on Tuesdays. I'm here, it's not a Tuesday, so I'm going to have a look around. We've found some really important stuff that's amazing in Repco's history, and given that this is the 100th anniversary year for Repco, that's even more important that we find some of this stuff here at the museum. Behind me here is something that is unbelievably special. This is the 1979 Repco Round Australia trial-winning Commodore that Peter Brock drove to victory. Alongside Matt Phillip and Noel Richards, they went all around Australia over the course of a couple of weeks. It's one of the most punishing motorsport events that's ever been seen in Australia. In 1979, Peter Brock won Bathurst, but he always said that winning in this very car was his greatest feat in Australian motorsport because it was an event he wasn't expected to win. He was deemed to be the circuit racing guy who was there for a bit of publicity. It's a pretty cool car. It is exactly as it finished at the Melbourne Showgrounds in 1979. It's here in the foyer as you walk in to the National Motor Racing Museum. So let's go and have a look at what else is here as well. Repco has an amazing history with V8 supercars, and of course these days with the Repco Supercars Championship and the Repco Bathurst 1000. This is the Repco-backed Bathurst winner from 2000, the Gary Rogers Motorsport Commodore VT of Jason Bargwanna and Garth Tander. The first win for both drivers in the race, the first and only win in the 1000 for Gary Rogers Motorsport, and this is the car. It never raced again after that November race here in 2000. It is still, as it finished the race, it is unbelievable. It is a piece of history, and it's cool that it's right here as well. Of course, touring car racing and supercar racing is a massive part of the history of Mount Panorama, and here at the National Motor Racing Museum, in this part, if you love your touring cars, this is touring car heaven. Cortinas, Minis, Falcons, Tirana XU1 driven by Bob Jane, John Goss Falcons, Mazda RX-3 for the Rotary fans here as well. Here's an old favourite, Sterling Moss, Jack Brabham, the 76 Tirana, stalled on the grid, hit up the backside by a Triumph Dolomite. It was a massively famous assault on the 1976 Bathurst race. The 76 Bathurst winning Tirana of Bob Morris and John Fitzpatrick. Of course, Repco had involvement with the engines in the Holden Tirana L34s of the 1970s. Alan Grice Commodore, Nissan Bluebird, Johnny Goss Jaguar XJS. This is the Group C car that was converted to the Group A car later on. The little Toyota Team Australia Corolla, they were fabulous cars in the 80s and the early 90s. The 88 winning Sierra of Tony Longhurst and Thomas Mazira, and one of the Mobil 1 BMW M3s from that amazing Group A era of touring car racing here at the mountain. And of course, it wouldn't be a Bathurst National Motor Racing Museum without some roaring Fords. Alan Moffat and Jackie X's Bathurst winner from 1977, the one in the famous 1-2. And of course, Craig Lowndes, a superstar of the mountain, his 00 Motorsport, Gibson Motorsport car is here as well. It's a place that you have to come to. There's all sorts of stuff. You could get lost here for hours and hours, having a look at not just the cars, but the motorbikes, the speedway cars, the memorabilia as well. This is a place, you know what, where all the big names hang out. And even some of the superstar faces and heads. That's Dick Johnson. He's not talking today. Not doing appearances. All the big stars hang out at the National Motor Racing Museum.